session. First up is our public comments. Mr. Prince, if you want to speak, we got a 3-minute limit. So if you want to stand up and speak, right now's your time.
Okay, I probably don't need 3 minutes, but I'm just here as the volunteer history collector and documenting for the Paint Rock Valley for many years, working very jointly in joint partnership with the school, giving help to the students as they graduate, giving proceeds to the school as we raise money. Anyway, and I'm also worked with the churches. So my emphasis needs to be that I hope that whatever you do in your selection of board members for that little board that you're setting up, that you consider people who have a history of service in the community, and that it be based on, you know, connections with the school. I'm a graduate of that school, and as well as having family and property there in the valley. And I want to see that what I've been doing with the history project is bringing up so that people can understand the folkways of the valley. And that has been inspired by the people who were involved in faith communities. And part of the documenting was there were 13 back in the late 90s, over 10 years ago, there were 13 little churches in that valley. Now there aren't that many because of some of them closed. But of those that are there, they're Baptists, they're Methodists, the Presbyterians have closed, they're independent churches. And then there's the Sheepgate Church that's got a lot of young people in it and has for many years. So I would just like to advocate that whomever is selected for this board that y'all are putting together, that you consider service orientation for those who are serving on the board instead of business or politicians. And if you have service-oriented people on it, you're going to have more chance to get nonprofit money. I have 2 nonprofits that I have as the head of, and I know a lot about what it takes to get nonprofit money. And it takes people who are going to be volunteers. When I was working with the county government, I had a contract to set up a clinic in Birmingham for disadvantaged people. And there's so many disadvantaged people in that valley. So I'm going to compare it with that a little bit. Is that we, in order to pull that all off, I had 60 volunteers helping me in that clinic for pain and psychiatric patients. And we were getting indigent care money from the state. I believe the county government maybe gets some of that too. But that just gives you an example of how you can use volunteers in activities. You can draw in some money when you're using nonprofits. So what we have now in that community, since that school was abruptly closed without input from the community, the year it was closed, we still have churches. We have service people. So that's what I'm trying to communicate here, is the need for service-oriented people on that board. And that will help attract more money, and it will also keep down some of those kinds of things that get in when people have.
And I'm no fan of taxes either.
The first one's going to be the Trash Masters Tournament.
Yeah, I didn't bring any material or anything to pass out. I had come up, you know, we had last work session, we had some discussion about trying to think of some ways to clean Jackson County up and get folks involved in cleaning Jackson County up. So I'd come up with the idea that if we designated or made a list of local nonprofits, and then we asked for donations from individuals or companies or entities, and then we have a cleanup day, call it, you know, like a bass tournament. We have a trash tournament, and say we collect 1,000 pounds and we have $1,000, then you get to check off $1 a pound that you collected. If you collect 50 pounds, you check off $50 to go to Shriners Club or CASA or impact learning or whatever. So I just wanted to see if the commission had any appetite in trying to put that together. I've already talked to a few businesses, and Ross had come up with a shirt ideal, and maybe sell shirts and that go into the pot too. And I talked to several businesses already that are willing to donate to get their name put on a shirt.
It's an interesting idea. The only question I would have is, even though it's on a volunteer basis, is there any liability since we're offering money for cash, for trash? Would there be any
Well,
liability?
they're not getting the money, it's going to charity.
I know it's going to charity, but they're representing that charity. They're out on the side of the roads. They're out in dangerous way. Does it involve us in any way?
You got a volunteer organization that is volunteering funds so that this will happen. I don't see any real issue with it. I really don't.
As long as you say
All
so, sir.
volunteer, all volunteer.
I would like to, excuse me, I wanted to have it in April, coincide with Scottsboro Sparkle and Shine Month, but I don't know if we have time to get it together before April. And I know Mr. Guthrie said he would like to help with it, and he's gonna be gone the last weekend of April or second to last.
Okay, I wasn't gonna ask, could it be a weekend, please?
Yeah, and so the 13th of April was the only available date that he and I both could be available. And I just don't know if we can get it together by April 13th. We can possibly have it the first weekend of March. And if this is something the commission wants to do, I've talked to the city of Scottsboro about possibly waiving the tipping fee. May, yeah. We don't have a time machine, I'm sorry. Wish we did, we'd go back and change some of the stuff. But I talked to the city of Scottsboro about possibly waiving their tipping fees. We wouldn't have to pay to take the trash to, and they showed interest in possibly helping us with it. You know, maybe have some volunteers to talk to Chamber of Commerce, Rick Roden, and Rick was excited about it, so they would help promote it and put it on, so. I think it'd be a neat thing, you know, we'll have a trash tournament instead of a bass tournament.
The first.
There's probably as much
Saturday-
trash in Lake Gunnersville as there is bass in Lake
Oh, yeah.
Gunnersville.
The first weekend, Saturday of May, will be the 4th. So we got April 13th. We think we can get it done in time. If not, May 4th will be the first Saturday. How's everybody feel about it?
I don't think it needs to go any further than May,
No,
no further out.
yeah, I wanted to limit the
weather.
the exposure to Mr. No Shoulders as
Yeah.
much as possible. You know, and vegetation growing around the shoreline too, you know, the earlier we could have it, the easier it would be to see.
So this is only along the water.
Well, that's something we need to decide, you know, and that depends on how much participation we get in donations too.
Because, I mean, I know we have issues with the river, but again, as we discussed, people moving in here for Google, people moving in from, as with Mr. Roden the other day, Huntsville, they're looking for places to live. They may relocate in Jackson County and increase our property and property taxes and things. So, I mean, if they drive up and see trash on the side of the road, they're gonna turn and go to Marshall County or somewhere else.
My ideal of this is, you know, was try it on the lake, try one way in, maybe do it at the county park, see how it goes, and then possibly next year or in the summer, you know, try to do it in several different communities around. You know, maybe local fire department, local ball teams, whatever could get the dollars, you know, and if we could get businesses in each location to donate, we may have trash masters. You know, we may start a tour. But I'd like to try it at least one time, down the park, and see how it fares.
That's the only way we'll know, is give it a shot, because we've got trash all over the county.
Especially as high as the water's been, it's taking a lot more trash in the river
Absolutely.
creeks.
So
That's
we're
all I
gonna,
know.
you wanna go for May 4th?
Suits me.
Good. So you wanna put it on, do we need to, is that something we need to vote on? Okay. Well, we'll
If the
do,
commission's gonna sponsor it, you know.
okay. All right, we'll go ahead and put that on.
The only thing the commission should be out financially is we'll have to have a truck operator, somebody that'd be able to dump a truck. And I talked to our solid waste director, and he said he was sure that somebody would be willing to work that Saturday to do that. So that should be the only cost to the county.
Okay. All right, we can put this on, next week's meeting for approval.
What date will that be, sir?
Next week,
You have a date?
25th.
May 5th or 4th.
Oh, you're talking about the date?
No, the date next week's meeting.
Yeah, 25th, and then May 4th. All right, next be Board of Equalization. We got one appointment. We only have one person who's interested. It was Mr. Gordon Hodges. He's the one that's been on there for years. We didn't have anybody else interested in it. I think, Jeff, the only thing we're gonna need, we need a letter from you, just, if you're okay with that, just saying that it's
No.
okay to reinstate him.
No, not from me. You just submit
Oh,
that
okay.
letter to the state. That
So-
does, you just submit that letter to the state and they'll appoint somebody, they'll appoint him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
it doesn't go through me.
Okay. Yeah, we just, yeah.
You try to keep,
No,
what's the dynamics of the
what
board?
the code says is every 4 years when the governor changes, you appoint a new board of equalization. So the county can submit 3 names. The largest municipality, in this case is Scottsburg, submits 3 names. The school board submits a name, and then all the other municipalities submit a name. So all those names go to Montgomery, and the revenue commissioner, the state revenue commissioner, they pick 3, one to represent the county, one to represent the largest the schools, and one to represent the municipalities. So there's no guarantee when you send that name that that's who they'll pick, but if you only got one person interested, of course, that's who they're gonna pick. So all those municipalities will send somebody a name, and again, like I said, the county school system will submit 3 names.
Okay. Everybody's okay, we'll put it on next Monday's meeting also. Next is the Paint Rock Valley School, people who would like to be on board. I put that on there simply to let everybody look at the list. This is what we've got as of today, for people that want to serve on that board. We need to, everybody be looking at it. We do a 5-person board. Everybody can nominate a name on it, and then we'll have a vote.
So we're going on 5?
Yeah, is that good with everybody?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to do that too at the next meeting. We'll have to decide how many members we want on board. I think 5 is a healthy number. There's 5 of us, and we're running, you know.
Do we have any
Okay.
contact information on these folks?
Yeah, I got the letters. I just took and printed this off the everything else to me,
Can you scan those and email,
each individual letter.
please?
Okay, yeah.
That one on there, Mr. Chairman, is Cassie Lyons instead of Lynn. Lyons.
L-Y what?
ONS.
Okay. All right, I'll make sure it's changed.
And Mr. Chairman, what you'll do is you will vote to create the board and then appoint however many you decide you're going to appoint to that board.
Okay.
Did we come up with any kind of name at this point in time?
Do that too.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, if everybody's good with that, we'll put it on next Monday's meeting.
Real quick, Mr. Porter, will it need to state what the board will be responsible for, like some of the things we discussed last week at the Valley? Like researching the cost, and that will just come later, it just has to be declared a board?
Isn't it?
The other thing, I don't think that Carla Little, she understood what this was, from what I could gather. So you might want to withdraw her name. She did not know it was gonna be a formal board to move forward with school issues and things.
Okay, I'll call her to double check for,
So please do that. We need to hear that from her.
okay. All right, anything else on that? All right, next is DHR lease agreement. As everybody knows, we've got a lease agreement that's gonna go all the way through September, of this year. But they want us to go ahead and get a long-term proposal together. So we need to talk about that tonight. Come up with what we're gonna send, so that some of the commissioners would give me some guidance on how you wanna go with that. I think $3 is a good price, staying with that, as far as no maintenance.
Yeah, I'm fine with staying with the current, and doing a 5-year lease on it. 5-year leases is what they had been doing in the past. And if we're gonna do maintenance, we need to talk about what we're willing to do as maintenance. You know, I think double that lease amount and maybe do it for 3 years and just do the HVAC, the parking lot, and the roof and see how we come out. I wouldn't want to do a long-term lease with maintenance involved because we don't really know what the maintenance cost would be. So.
Did I understand you correctly to double the amount if you put the maintenance in there?
Yeah,
So
If you do
it's-
$6 a square foot, just do it for 3 years, and let's do that limited maintenance amount, just to
I
see
think
how.
the roof is getting in pretty bad shape
As we say,
already.
have we got any kind of estimate? I know you gentlemen have a construction background. Okay.
We had looked at it one time, I mean, at $6 a square foot, we could put the roof on it, in the first 3 years and still be okay, still come out with what we would at $3 a
Can you
square
check the
foot.
age unit?
They're fairly new, they got some new equipment there.
I mean, I know y'all been around longer than we have, I know when things are replaced, so thank you.
You think that $6 is strong enough if we do the maintenance, even with certain things?
I'd rather no maintenance.
I had to.
And, you know, if we wanna send that to them and not do a maintenance, that's up to the commission. To me, the bare minimum I would want to do if we done maintenance would be double what we're currently getting and a limited scope of work for the maintenance.
Well, if we don't do maintenance, I'm sorry, Mr. Rich, go ahead.
They've been doing the maintenance up until this point,
Yes.
that's my understanding.
But if we don't do maintenance and they do maintenance, how are we to really know that it's getting done? I know that some of the things are getting in poor shape and haven't been kept up to my standards personally. So where does the county give them standards as to when it may need to be fixed, when it falls through, when it leaks? What kind of rules are existing about that?
There's not any right now, but we could, when we do this long-term, put it in the 5-year agreement that we send our maintenance guy over quarterly to do an inspection.
That sounds great.
And then that way, if he finds anything, then he can give it to them and tell them these items need to be fixed. That sounds okay.
I know the roof at one point there, the front of the building is not looking too
Yes.
good right now.
And its damage has got to be in behind it.
Yes.
Several of the units behind too are getting pretty old. I mean, I walked around through there back last summer, and there's some of those units. I'm kinda like Mr. Bennell said, I think we might be better off looking just, let them take care of maintenance.
I just want to make sure it's monitored.
Well, it don't take long to spend a lot of money when you go into maintenance.
I think the price that they're currently under and doing that for long term, I mean, that's a very reasonable
Very
amount. I know we had a lot of conflict, a lot of confusion, a lot of heartache over this whole process. It just didn't go smoothly, and I want to get this out of the way. And I think they sent a letter requesting too, by the end of April, to have a proposal to them, so I want
We
to
are
get
at the
that.
end of April.
And I think we need to put on there that we need a reply from them, in a given time, you know, if we give them 6 weeks or whatever, we need a reply from them as early as possible.
Okay, is this something that y'all wanna think about, or do you wanna, I'm hearing that some of you just wanna go with the
Just leave it.
no maintenance?
I think put it on next week's
Yeah.
agenda. I'll be glad to make a motion to move forward with it.
No maintenance but monitored,
Right.
or some kind of, like you were talking about.
All right, we'll put that on next week. Last item will be county road striping and pavement marking. Mr. Kent.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Sis, do you want to elaborate on how this came about, and I'll go over them some numbers?
Well, I know John can explain it, he does much better in taking care of this. Since 17 has had the issue it has, a lot of people are having to travel around County Road 8. And I've had several phone calls here in the last 3 weeks since this all come about. About the markings on the road was hard to identify, the fog was terrible. They afraid it was gonna be an accident. I drove out there and I seen what it was. The road is in good condition except from the top of the mountain down to the foot of the mountain. And I called Johnson and told him, and he said, what do you think we ought to do? And I said, well, if you get some numbers and come back with us to the board up there, and I said, a number on the striping, what it costs, a number on the reflectors. And that's kind of how it came about. And, you know, I can see where they're at. They're trying to work with us, and we've got to try to take care of what our issue is when it comes to safety. That's the figures that he brought to us. And Jonathan, you can explain more with me, but like I said, you do a great job.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that explanation. I just included as a photo of the road. That's pretty typical of the condition of the striping. As Mr. Sis was talking about, it's worn, but it's fairly good. Now the markers are gone, so.
The striping looks pretty good.
Yeah, there's some areas that are worse than this, but that's pretty typical of that mountainside. As Mr. Cisco alluded to, all the markers are gone. So the cost to replace center line striping and the pavement markers are on that next sheet there. And we can add this to the previously approved striping work that has not started yet, if you all wish to do that.
This stretch of road, is it under their federal routes?
Yes, sir.
So it's eligible for $100. What is the grade on this road, do you remember?
No, I don't remember. I can get you that information, but it has some years on this pavement.
The striping is visible. I kinda hate to replace the striping and in 2 or 3 years resurface, but, you know, pretty minimal charge or amount to do the reflectors. And the reflectors may help more than the striping, you know, especially in foggy, rainy weather. I mean, that's just my ideal. I don't know what might be a good idea, just to put the reflectors on, because I'd be afraid that, you know, this be a project we'd be looking at paving with some federal dollars, or if we get some match money state through this gas tax stuff, you know, hate to go through and stripe it and then mill the pavement up.
I think the reflectors would do good, and like I said, you know, they've been nice about it, and it's not living out there. I don't really know the situation. I know springtime's here, maybe the fog's not gonna be as bad, but, you know, I've had several different calls, and they said it's just hard to see where you're at.
It's an increase in traffic, and it's our problem as well, weather's problem in them situations.
It's pretty curvy right there where it's at, and, you know, the road is kind of deteriorating. I told Johnson, I said, I hate to spend much money, so just bring both of them to the table. I said, because later on, we'll probably end up having to redo this road sometime.
Yeah, a lot of mountainside roads that have zero striping on them, and,
Just that increase in traffic, you know, with 17
yeah,
and down to
yeah,
Consolidated.
absolutely, yeah.
I'll get the grade out to you guys on that, and we'll kind of halfway predict maybe what year we're looking at, possibility for resurfacing, just kind of roughly frame it in.
The need for the repaving, not, you know, doesn't mean we're gonna be able to do it.
Right.
All right, so what does everybody want to do about this? You want,
We can put it on next week with some more information in the meantime.
okay.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Six?
Yes, thank you, Jonathan, for sending that out.
Thank you all.
All right, next we have a report from staff, county administrator.
Thank you.
Mr. Campbell.
I was going to update everyone, if I may,
Okay.
on numbers we submitted and how those shook out. So, being mindful now that County Road 17 is unlike the other slides in the reimbursement funding avenues that we'll be seeking reimbursement in. Debris removal, 30 to 40 sites in various locations, about $40,000. That's going to include trees down, debris in pipes, ditches, debris that's washed out into the road, and then drift that's accumulated under the bridges that must be removed. That's in debris is a whole category into itself. EPM is emergency protective measures. So also responded to cutting those trees, putting up barricades that we did, water over the road signs, even some sandbags that went out. About $15,000 in that initial storm response on some of that. 100 washouts in various locations at $3,500 each, and so we have to kind of generalize in some of these things, and those numbers were based on 2015 flood data. So one worksheet, the way they do it, was 10 sites, one was 17. So we took both of the numbers in those sites and divided by how many washouts we had, averaged those, and came up with about 3,500 each in the washouts that we repaired in 2015. So we applied that number to the approximate 100 washouts that we had discovered through our assessments in riding the roads. So that's at $350,000 just in routine top work in various locations throughout the county. The upper slide on County Road 38. County Road 38 is in the switchback, and there are two slides that coincide on top of each other, basically. $665,000 for the upper slide. The lower slide is $285,000. County Road 189 slide, there are 189, if you recall, is the only road up and down that services Summer House Mountain. So one lane is being maintained now, or didn't slide, basically not being maintained. So that site is $525,000 for that repair. County Road 93 is basically three components to that. There's a lower portion that's really large, that's at $1 million. There's a midsection that's more shallow but more linear roadway. That's at $500,000, and the upper's at $250,000. So that total is at 3.575. And so the total number turned into Alabama EMA was 3.63 million. And then also is the federal aid dollar amount for County Road 17, which is at 2.8 million.